Good afternoon. It's 5:20 p.m. and it is November 30th. It is, I believe it's Wednesday. Nope, it looks like it's Thursday. And so I wanted to come on here and let you guys know that this is going to be my last video on this channel. I know it sounds absurd, but I had mentioned previously that I dealt with gang stalking. And what comes along with that is you have a lot of social media manipulation. I had basically bounced around channels a few times, but it looks as though I've made a decision to just stick with one channel, which will be the Maria Gordon channel that I will be putting the link in the description box. Like I said, this will be my last video. Just a few updates. I tried to post a video to Patreon yesterday as well as today, and was actually for 3 days in a row, and I have not been successful. I don't know what's going on with my Patreon account, and I do believe that I should have quite a few subscribers on that Patreon account, seeing as how everybody knows who I am. And I feel as though I kind of got slighted since I was thrown out of the workforce and created all kinds of problems for me. So this is my attempt to get back on my feet doing something that I enjoy and am enthusiastic about. So the link for the Patreon channel will also be in the description box. I've been hanging in there. I do think it's all very weird to me, the whole realization of this Prince Alamahu thing, but I accept it. It's just very odd to me, and I don't know why it really should be, because I've read about things like this, about other people, not so much like them being clones, but just other things that go on in the world. But it's different when it actually happens to you. I had thought that I was being targeted from my family, my blood relations, and when you come to find out that you've been targeted by something bigger than that, it's quite mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing when I thought it was just my family. But I'm going to be continuing my other channel on Maria Gordon. I suspect I have more subscribers on the Maria Gordon channel, even though I cannot see them. Like I mentioned before, this particular group likes to really lower down the morale and tries to hurt me. And I do believe that my ex-brother, Rashawn, played a big role in this, going around telling, people in the social media type companies, when you think about how interconnected things are and how you can reach out to people on various platforms, whether that be Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and friends click together or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And I've dealt with cyberbullying, and I think that when it comes to YouTube, I would say that that's kind of a bullying thing too, especially when you get treated like you're some kind of monster or something, when it turns out that my brother and the rest of these people were also the ones who were monsters, mainly because I wasn't even really aware of what I was being attacked for. Please forgive me. I had to stop for the recording for a minute. My son came home and I wanted to greet him and ask him a couple of things. So I know that, I dealt with this campaign smear. I couldn't quite figure it out. I know I had made several videos on my original channel, the Maria Gordon channel, about me dealing with workplace mobbings for several years and schoolyard bullying for several years. And, I know that my older siblings, that would be my ex-sister Tanya and my ex-brother Rashawn, played a huge role in my targeting. And of course they used religion as a way to gain favor with people. But I would say that they weren't exactly the best examples of people who are walking in the footsteps of Christ. And all of this stuff, was like, I thought it was just a family issue. Like I said, it ended up being something bigger, and I wasn't really happy with the whole thing, which you guys have been filled in on all of the little details. As much as I can tell you, on these videos that are posted on this channel. But like I said, I am going to be moving back to the other one, and it's been very frustrating for me because they make problems. What this attempt was basically to snuff me out. Just kind of telling you a little bit more about this issue because I feel like talking today. I realize now that I was the outcast of my family, the black sheep, the scapegoat, whatever, which I've known that for years, but now it's like it's deeper now, knowing that they are not my actual blood relations, finding out that I come from different parents, and my siblings were very brainwashed, and naive as well. They didn't like me because I've always been very open-minded when it came to spirituality. When it comes to this Prince Alamé, who I am becoming more and more respectful of, I don't know much about the past life of when I was this prince. I do know that I do remember, growing up with my father and the rest of my family, and we never, he never even let on. My dad never really let on that any of this was going on. I do know that my sister Tanya, my ex-sister Tanya, always kind of gave me weird, dirty looks when I would meet up with them for holiday dinners or whatever. I guess it makes sense now. I know that my brother has always been very what's the word for it? Two-faced. He'll do anything just to be in with a group or the in crowd or whatever, including hurting family members or whatever. So it all took me by surprise. And now coming to this point, like I said, it's a lot to digest on every level. But I've been dealt a very low blow. I was kind of attacked and people were turned against me, which went around the world. It was just like this huge campaign smear, apparently, because I'm open-minded. They didn't like it. I was never raised in a particular religion, but they wanted to flip this whole thing around saying that I was like some sort of antichrist or something. And I hate talking about this over and over again, and I hate emphasizing this because I really don't have anything against Jesus Christ. It's mostly the issue has always been when people try to force their views on other people and use religion as an excuse. That was my issue, and that's the only issue I ever had, but I didn't recall having any issues out front with anybody. I know people brought it up at work and stuff like that, but I thought the main issue was over my hair, because I know that people were giving me shit about my hair because I wear half wigs and stuff like that to work or whatever. Anyway, this whole thing is just so much. You'd have to watch all 1,300 videos on my Maria Gordon channel if you haven't caught up. But something tells me you have caught up because a lot of people know who I am. Just if you're blacklisted, everybody knows who you are because every employer, every whatever company has been giving your name. You're on some sort of list that exists that shouldn't exist because it's illegal to blacklist, but you know what I mean. So I don't go back to work, and just thinking about a regular 9-to-5 job really makes me sick because I've dealt with nothing but negativity. So I'm trying to make a living for myself. So this is where the issue of social media comes in because, I never did anything to deserve being, blotted out on YouTube. All you have to do is be friends with somebody within a company. Or, and like I said, people talk, they're interconnected. And all you have to do, one person has to do is have maybe some sort of grudge against somebody or maybe some little tiff. And, they could do this sort of bullying to other people. I honestly, it's frustrating because okay, well, I'm trying to make a living, you know what I mean? And plus I'm trying to make a living doing what I think that I should be doing, and I think that's what I should have been doing pretty much all along. The workplace is very difficult for people who number one, can think, meaning they have a mind of their own. They know right from wrong, and they have to work under the, you know, under people who aren't necessarily as moral. And that's very frustrating. It's also very frustrating when you deal with companies that don't have certain policies in place. Well, even they say they do, but you know what I mean. Of course, then again, my situation was very different because I was being targeted for some sort of experiment. So anyway, you look at it, I feel as though I've had a lot of my life taken away from me. And, I don't like being inconvenienced or set back on at all at this point. Like, there's no reason why I'm always having to, move back and forth from YouTube channels or say, hey, could you please stop doing this with my social media? It's like, I think some people just took things a little too far. Now, my brother and my sister, obviously, I'm sure by now, and I'm pretty damn sure, I feel it, that these people have been revealed for what they really are, and I know things have turned around a lot. But in the beginning, you had a lot of people who were just blindly following. I don't know who I suspect my siblings had, my ex-siblings had connections to high people, and, uh, whatever they say goes. But then also, I know the original people who were targeting me had a lot of power, and all I want to do is just get on with my life. That's all I want to do. I mean, like, you can't traumatize a person enough. You think it's a work issue. No, it's just like, you find out you're a clone, it's just, wow, Anyway, bizarre, but it's bizarre, but it's true. And that's what I wake up every day and think, my God, what a trip my life is. Anyway, moving on to the next channel. Like I said, the link will be in the description box. I do hope that you will support me on Patreon. I want to take people's requests. I want to be able to give people what they're looking for. If they have questions, like, I'm basically covering like a broad range of the occult, but I'm encouraging people to look into their own, backgrounds, and see what their ancestors originally did, but if somebody wants something demonstrated, I'm open and flexible to demonstrate things that I'm not really necessarily going to show. I know that a last video I posted was showing a demonstration of a ceremonial circle, when, that's not something that I really want to teach, but I think people might be curious about it. So, I just want to share my knowledge, and I just really want my Patreon channel to do well. So I'm a little confused and a little frustrated about the whole thing, because I wish that I was never dragged into this. I know that they were doing some sort of experiment about nature versus nurture, but I don't think that it was a good idea to block off my resources to do that. It's like, but I think maybe this whole group they were all kind of working independently. I know that people were doing this test, but they also had, like, my brother doing his shit and ass kissing and doing things like that. And then we have my sister Tanya, who always acted like she was so responsible and blah, 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 blah. She's got her little hand in the mix. Meanwhile, I didn't even know what was going on. You know what I mean? And they would have just kept it up and smiling in my face like nothing was going on, had I stopped, if I had not become suspicious towards them. You know what I mean? I lost a lot of people in this, but then I keep thinking, okay, well, the people that you lost really weren't concerned about you anyway. But it's like, it really opens your eyes to my reality. My reality was weird. I'm starting to think about, like, the community that I lived in, and the issue that I believe that there were other clones in my community, and starting to think back on some of the kids that I remember in my school. I honestly think that I went to school with a Hitler. I am not kidding you. It's very strange. It's very bizarre, and I don't want to go too much into it, mainly because I understand that this was not something that was supposed to be really known. You know what I mean? Because nobody talks about clones being actually being done, cloning actually being done, and here I am, I'm a clone, and I'm pretty sure there was other people who were cloned as well. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. Oh, I thought it was really important that, I do understand, like, I do want to do a quick reading, okay, because there's certain things that are coming through my mind, and I want to bring them up really quick before I wrap up this last video on my channel. The first one is that people now know that speaking out against hypocrisy is not the Antichrist. There are two different things. And, sometimes people want to abuse authority, or they want to, like in the case of my sister, and I suspect my brother was also using the religion thing. That is not, just because somebody is doing something and you speak out against it, it almost seems like they think they're Jesus, or they think they're God. Like, why are they getting offended? The fact is like, no, they're two different things. I don't have any issues with people who want to walk in the footsteps of Jesus Christ, who want to make good decisions and know how to live a good, moral, clean life. Why in the world would I have anything against that? My issue is this sort of control that they want over other people's lives, and they want to use religion as an excuse when they feel guilty, or they feel jealous, or they feel competitive, and then that's the problem. I know that I have sought sincerity within the Christian religion. When I was younger, I started off going to Jehovah's Witness religion, which is a Christian denomination. I also went to a few born-again Christian churches, and it's not, like I said, it is not the idea of Jesus. It's just the greed for money. It's the hypocrisy, like, well, say we'll live one way but we live another, that kind of stuff that bothers me. But I was never really vocal about this issue until people started gang stalking me and blacklisting me and all this other stuff. So I tried to figure out what was going on, and I started speaking up for myself. So all of that really, really got to me. Also, I have another message that was coming through, that I'm not trying in any way to try to create conflict with white America. I understand, and I believe that the Egyptians were black. I believe that I am some sort of, I don't know, what do you call it, a descendant of the Egyptian people, and I do have Egyptian blood, and we are obviously black. That is not in me. See, the reason why a lot of people jump to conclusions and think that, if you feel, or you have what they call superior traits or something, that you're going to want to exercise your power and abuse other people because of it. The reason why they assume that is because they themselves would do that. I'm not like that. I'm not like that at all. I wouldn't even think something like that. I remember the whole issue of the Egyptians being black when I was a kid. My mother and my father taught us that. And I know, throughout the years, I wondered, like, is that true? Because I used to call that barbershop talk. A lot of men get together in the barbershop. They start talking and speculating about history or whatever. And I know that we had books in our house about that topic and stuff like that. And, I kept thinking, well, in the back of my mind, I kept thinking it makes sense that Egyptians are black. But after a while, I kept thinking to myself, in my mind, at the time, I didn't realize that I had any Egyptian blood, so my thought on the matter was, well, I'm not Egyptian, and I don't think it's, I never really respected people who used other people, like, as a way to elevate themselves. Like, I've dealt with a lot of white supremacist people before, and the reason why they feel superior is because they're white, because they could point at somebody who did something great, like something historical or something, and they'll say, well, look at this person, and then just because they're white, but they're not really advanced, they're living like in a trailer park, they don't have, any skills or any education or anything that's impressive, whatever. And yet they feel as though they can look down on somebody. And I kept thinking, well, I don't like that attitude. I never liked that attitude when it came from white people, and I don't think it's appropriate for someone like myself to be that way. even though I obviously do come from an advanced civilization, you know what I mean? But I don't like that sort of excess. I mean, the exercising of power, people harming other people. When I was dealing with my mobbing and my gang stalking, I will tell you that I saw some arrogance and some like what I racism, just flat out fucking disgusting racism that people felt entitled to exercise because they felt as though people in power were giving them the stamp of approval. So, you know, I understand evil exists on this world, and I don't ever want to be the person who brings it to the earth at all. You know, I'm trying to live my life in peace, and I don't really want to pick up the ideas and the belief systems and the manners and the way that the world thinks. I think that I just cannot get into it. So I'm just trying to live my little life, you know. So if you could support me on Patreon, I would be very, very grateful. I'm not starting issues with white people. Like I said, my thing is talking about spiritual things. Like I like talking, that's where my world is. You know, I understand there's things called politics and all this other stuff. I stay the hell out of it. Even though some people will say, Marie, you have some pretty out there ideas. You're right. I keep them to myself and I just live it. I don't sit here and say, well, people need to change and see things my way. You know, I don't do that. I don't like, you know, shove that down people's throat. I'm just trying to live my life. Also, what else was it that I got to mention? Let's see. I think that's really it for now. You know, I just want to be able to get on with my life, and I don't miss the workforce. I don't miss, you know, struggling to prove that I'm worthy of a job, and you know, to me, I can't even believe the things I had to do just to, you know, support my son. But I was willing to do it, mind you. I really do feel sorry for people who get up in the morning and have to go to that place. But anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. Please, you know, connect with me on my other YouTube channel, and I will put all the information in the description box. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.